You knew you were alive when you were around Jake because there was never a dull moment. Nothing was ever boring with him.
He pushed the boundaries.
And looking back, sometimes with substance use, we talk about what's the why or why do they begin to use. And I don't think Jake had any real big, huge traumas in his life, but I do think that he always felt like he wasn't enough. He had been caught using and brought pills to school. And we had noticed things disappearing in our home. We had tried, setting limits, taking away his phone, consequences, and things just started escalating. So it got worse and worse until finally we just knew that we needed some help.
Started realizing, no, there's something going on here. We probably need help.
And that was kind of the beginning of an interesting journey for us, trying to figure out how we could move from, confrontation and conflict to being a little bit more supportive, trying to figure out how we could show up for him differently. I remember, just feeling like I didn't like who I was in this journey with Jake. Our behaviors also escalated during that time.
Pam saw that we needed to do something different. I still wasn't totally on board with that. Again, kind of hanging on to that, no, Dad can get us through this. And he's just really different kind of kid, pushing the boundaries. We can handle this. But as it got more serious, then realized that I don't know what I'm doing.
I remember one time where Jake's behavior was really out of control, and I looked at him and I said, "You're an addict, and if we don't do something, I'm leaving." And it wasn't long after that that we went to an advisor, a pastor of ours, and he said something that really would profoundly change our lives. And what he said to us was, are you going to be right for the sake of justice, or are you going to love for the sake of relationship? Because love never fails. And what I realized in that moment was that we had spent so much time dehumanizing our son. And our son was a human being, that he was worthy of love, even when he was struggling, that his problem wasn't his identity. And I know for me, I said the wrong things, I did the wrong things, I didn't know what to say or how to say it. And learning some skills really gave us language around how to communicate differently with Jake. And getting educated really helped us learn how to interact with him differently.
I realized, in that time when Jake was really struggling, that I had quite a few issues I had to deal with. Like you talked about, that we started to recognize our own issues. So I'm thinking, okay, I obviously don't know what I'm doing, so I can't help Jake. We didn't have the education. I didn't know anything about substance use. I didn't understand it at all. And I was an old school dad at that time. I'm like, just stop, That was my approach. If I can learn what he's going through, maybe I can help him. But I gotta take care of myself first. And so I started to make changes.
So we were really looking for something that could help us. And through that process and through our own change, we knew that other families were out there that needed to be equipped and educated.
I had heard so much about you gotta put the law down, you gotta set those really firm boundaries and, put your foot down and be tough. And that wasn't working with me and my son. And I wanted to learn how to love him well and really be there and support him. And when we learned how to do that, that's where I saw real change. And I saw it in Jake. I learned to love well, and I saw him change. So that was big for me.
And what we know now is that being compassionate and empathetic and kind actually reduces harm in the family. And we started with one support group, and it grew from there. What was just this desire and passion to want to encourage families that they could take a different path. As we talk about this, I wish that we could say that this story was tied up in a perfect little bow and had a wonderful, happy ending. We lost Jake in 2021 to an accidental overdose. He had been in recovery, and we had done our work, and we had really began to heal as a family. And he had a bad day. But when we look back at our relationship with Jake, one of the things that we talk about with loving well is no regrets. And we wish he were here. We wish he was with us, but because of our recovery and because of our family working together, and because our relationship was repaired because we both did our work, we can look back on this journey and say, no regrets.